Usually when we think about a massive organization getting work done, there is this expectation of visible activity.
Oh, yeah. Like a construction site.
Right, exactly, a construction site. You hear the hammers, you see the cranes moving around, and it's completely obvious that something is being built.
It's loud, it's active, it demands your attention.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. But then you step into the world of congressional procedure, and suddenly that whole construction site analogy, it just doesn't work anymore.
No, it really doesn't.
It's actually, well, it's more like running the servers overnight.
Oh, I like that. Sort of like background processing.
Right. If you think about it, everyone has gone home. No one is actively typing at the keyboard. The office is completely dark. But down in the server room, massive amounts of data are still being processed.
Yeah.
They're being sorted and routed to exactly the right places. The system is humming quietly, but, crucial work is still happening.
It is the absolute definition of administrative motion. Because even when the cameras are off, the gears are still turning.
Exactly. So welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is a special deep dive we call Congress in Context, where we are unpacking the August 20, 2026 Congressional record.
We're looking at the quiet but vital administrative gears of the legislative branch today.
Yeah, specifically focusing on how Congress keeps functioning when members are actually back in their home districts. And before we get into the details, just a really quick housekeeping note. This is a completely independent civic education project.
Yes, it is.
So if you want to support the production infrastructure that makes this possible, you can use the Buy Me a Coffee link in your app's show notes.
And you can also access a full bill summary breakdown of everything we're discussing today right there.
Right. So to really understand this server room analogy, we kind of need to set the scene for what actually happened on the morning of August 20th.
Yeah, let's set the scene. So imagine the House chamber. It is a massive ornate room, right?
Yeah.
And it's designed to hold hundreds of lawmakers.
Hundreds of them.
But on this particular morning, it is practically empty. At exactly 10 a.m., the House is called to order by Speaker Pro Tempore Riley M. Moore.
Okay.
And a prayer is offered by Pastor Zach Randalls of Waterfront Church, which is here in Washington, D.C.
So they do the formalities.
Right. They approve the journal. They do the Pledge of Allegiance. They read a message from the Senate. And by 10:03 a.m., the House adjourns until August 24.
Wait, 10.03.
Yeah.
So 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Just 3 minutes of floor time.
Exactly 3 minutes.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if they only met for 3 minutes and there is almost nobody in the room, how do we have a mountain of legislative progress to talk about today? I mean,
Right.
where are all these bill summaries actually coming from?
So that is the magic of what is called a pro-forma session. Pro-forma is Latin for as a matter of form. The Constitution requires that neither chamber can adjourn for more than 3 days without the consent of the other.
Right, so they have to keep checking in.
Exactly. To fulfill that requirement, while members are back in their home districts, working, they hold these very brief sessions. But practically, it also allows the impartial process of what they call reports of committees to continue.
Wait, hold on. If nobody is in the room to actually debate, how does a bill advance? I mean, isn't bypassing a vote defying the entire point of the legislative process?
Well, it would be if they were actually voting on the final passage of the laws.
Oh, okay.
But they aren't. When a committee finishes marking up a bill, meaning they have already debated it, they've amended it, and they've voted on it at the committee level.
So the real work is done.
Right, the committee work is done.
Mm-hmm.
It then has to be formally reported to the House floor. A pro-forma session just allows those reports to be officially entered into the congressional record.
I see.
Yeah, it keeps the legislative pipeline flowing. For example, several bills we are looking at today were discharged and referred to the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union.
So it's essentially a staging area.
Yes.
Like airplanes pulling away from the gate and lining up on the tarmac. I mean, they aren't flying yet, but they are queued up for takeoff.
That is a perfect way to look at it. Being placed on the Union calendar, it stages a bill for an eventual floor vote when the full House actually reconvenes.
Okay, so let's look at the planes waiting on the tarmac, because there are some really fascinating updates to how the government manages natural resources and science.
Yeah, there are.
One that really caught my eye is H.R. 7889. That's the AWRC Act of 2025.
Right.
This reauthorizes the Water Resources Research Act of 1984. And it bumps up the authorized appropriations by $16 million annually through 2029.
Which is significant.
It is. But what stands out is that it amends a single definition in a 40-year-old law. It changes the definition of private industry to explicitly include artificial intelligence.
And, in legislation, changing a single definition can fundamentally alter how an entire industry operates.
Yeah, but why does that matter so much for water research specifically?
Because managing water resources today is just incredibly complex.
Right.
I mean, think about river basins or aquifers that span across 3 or 4 different states.
Right, they don't care about state lines.
Exactly. So modeling depletion rates, predicting droughts, and managing those interstate water rights, it requires massive computational power.
Oh, so they need the AI.
They do. By explicitly including AI in the definition of private industry, this bill officially opens the door for advanced AI companies to partner with water research institutes on federal grants.
Okay, that makes sense.
And furthermore, the bill structurally mandates that 20% of the funds must focus specifically on interstate water problems.
Ah, I see. So the legislation is basically incentivizing the use of artificial intelligence to solve complex regional water disputes that cross state lines.
Yes.
It is forcing a 1984 law to adapt to 2026 technology.
Exactly. And we see a very similar adaptation to modern threats with H.R. 3270. It's the Local Communities and Bird Habitat Stewardship Act of 2025.
Right.
So on its face, it establishes the Urban Bird Treaty Program through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it authorizes $1 million annually from 2026 to 2032.
But reading through the sources, I mean, this isn't just about planting more trees so cities look prettier for bird watchers.
No, not at all.
There is a serious public health angle here.
There is. Highly pathogenic avian influenza.
Right?
Managing and conserving urban bird habitats allows the Fish and Wildlife Service to better monitor and basically reduce the spread of wildlife-borne diseases.
Because urban centers are so dense.
Exactly. When you have migratory birds interacting with dense city environments, tracking the health of those populations, it acts as an early warning system.
Okay.
It is essentially a public health priority that is wrapped in a conservation effort.
That is really interesting. We also saw several bills aimed at providing legal finality regarding federal and Native American land.
Yes, we did.
So, for instance, H.R. 325 authorizes a massive land exchange in California. It conveys 1,475 acres of National Forest System land to the Yuhaaviatam of San Manuel Nation.
Right.
And in exchange, the nation returns 1,460 acres of non-federal land back to the United States.
And what's structurally important there is the stipulation attached to the exchange. It requires a formal agreement to preserve the historical and cultural integrity of the Arrowhead Landmark site.
Got it. And speaking of legal finality, H.R. 2827 deals with Indian land disputes in Illinois.
Yeah.
And this involves the Miami tribe of Oklahoma, stretching all the way back to the Treaty of Grouseland in 1805.
This one is a classic example of Congress utilizing its structural authority to force a resolution.
How so?
Well, the bill creates a very strict one-year jurisdictional window in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims.
Okay.
If the Miami tribe wants to file a land claim, they have exactly 1 year from the bill's enactment to do so.
And then after that?
After that window closes, all existing and future claims to that land in Illinois are officially extinguished. It tells the legal system that the timer is officially running.
Okay, so they are clearing the backlog. Now, beyond land and science, several bills graduating from committee dealt directly with agency accountability and civil rights.
Yes.
Starting with H.R. 2406. This one amends the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act to improve sexual harassment and assault prevention within NOAA.
Right.
It institutes mandatory annual reporting, and it updates the requirements for criminal referrals. But the standout feature is the creation of a restricted, confidential reporting mechanism.
And we really have to think about why NOAA specifically needs this structural mechanism.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a standard office building in Washington.
Right. They operate remote research vessels.
Exactly. NOAA scientists and officers are often stationed on ships in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Or, at really isolated atmospheric outposts.
Yeah, you're literally stuck on a boat.
Right. And if you are a victim of harassment in those deeply isolated environments, standard reporting channels might mean complaining to the very people you are trapped on a boat with.
Wow, yeah.
So implementing a restricted confidential channel removes the structural barriers that prevent victims from coming forward, which ensures the agency has accurate data on the scope of the problem.
That makes total sense when you put it in the context of their actual workplace.
It does.
We also saw a major bill from the Education and Workforce Committee, H.R. 18476.
Yes.
This one mandates that educational agencies and higher education institutions that receive federal funds must treat discrimination motivated by antisemitism as vigorously as they treat other forms of discrimination prohibited by Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
And the mechanical key to this bill is how it defines the violation.
Right.
It structurally requires these institutions to use the definition of antisemitism specified in Executive Order 43899. And that is used when determining whether an alleged act or omission was motivated by discriminatory intent.
Got it. So by tying the enforcement of Title VI directly to that specific executive order, the bill establishes a uniform legal standard for any university or agency receiving federal funding.
Exactly. It's a standardization measure.
And rounding out the committee reports, we have H.R. 309, which authorizes the Secretary of the Interior to provide a 7-year funding period for the National Law Enforcement Museum's community outreach and officer safety programs.
So all of those bills we just discussed, those are the ones that have cleared committee and are waiting for a floor vote.
Right.
But this 3-minute session wasn't just about moving old business forward. They also introduced 20 brand new pieces of legislation.
Right.
H.R. 10118 through H.R. 10137.
Which, that raises another question. If the House is empty, introducing a bill right now almost seems, performative. Does dropping a bill during a recess actually accomplish anything, or is it just a press release?
Oh, no, it absolutely accomplishes something. It starts the clock. Introducing a bill officially triggers the committee referral process. So even though the elected representatives are out of Washington, referring a bill to the Judiciary Committee, or Energy and Commerce, it means the committee staff, right?
One's actually doing the reading.
Yes. The researchers, the lawyers, the policy experts. They can begin their review and analysis immediately. It basically maximizes the administrative time available.
Okay, that makes sense. The gears keep turning. So what is the staff going to be researching this time?
Looking at these newly introduced bills, there is a massive focus on technology, infrastructure, and just how information moves.
Yeah, heavily focused there. Representative Barrett introduced 2 bills directly targeting data centers, which, as you know, are currently causing massive friction across the country due to their enormous power and water demands.
Right.
H.R. 10118 would prohibit members of Congress from signing non-disclosure agreements related to data centers. Wait, really? So if a tech giant pitches a massive server farm in a representative's district, this bill prevents the lawmaker from being legally bound to keep the details of that project secret from their constituents.
Correct. It forces transparency on the structural impacts. And Representative Barrett also introduced H.R. 10119.
What does that one do?
It prohibits the preemption of state or local zoning authority for data centers on non-federal lands.
Oh.
That is a direct legislative response to local zoning boards feeling steamrolled by federal or state-level tech infrastructure pushes.
Because the tension between local communities and massive AI infrastructure, that is only going to grow.
Absolutely.
And speaking of how fast information moves, we have a cluster of bills focused on government accountability and insider trading.
Yes.
Representative Himes introduced H.R. 10125, which prohibits the purchase or sale of securities while aware of non-public information contained in social media accounts controlled by government officials.
And this really highlights how market-moving information has evolved structurally. We aren't just talking about executives whispering in boardrooms anymore.
Right. It's a tweet now.
Yeah.
Or a post.
Exactly. If a government official is about to post market-moving policy details on a social media account, and an aide trades on that knowledge 3 minutes before the post goes live, this bill seeks to officially classify and penalize that action.
This speed of information has completely outpaced old insider trading laws.
It really has.
And closely related to that, Representative Whitesides introduced H.R. 10137. This directs the Department of Defense Inspector General to report to Congress on complaints of insider trading on prediction and energy markets during a specific event called Operation Epic Fury.
Right.
We also see bills touching on defense manufacturing and healthcare. Representative Jackson introduced H.R. 1126, directing the Defense Secretary to include the projected demand for foreign military sales into the military's industrial base planning.
And mechanically, that shifts how the military calculates its manufacturing needs.
How so?
Well, it treats foreign sales not as an afterthought or like a surplus issue, but as a core component of domestic production capacity planning.
Okay, getting ahead of the demand. And then on the healthcare and social policy front, Representative Mace introduced H.R. 10127, which prohibits the use of federal funds to conduct or support research studying the effects of gender-related medical treatment. And Representative Schulten introduced H.R. 10133, which aims to ensure that the cost sharing for a prescription drug does not exceed the nationwide average consumer purchase price for that drug.
Essentially trying to prevent regional price disparities for the exact same medication.
Yeah.
And you can see just from this brief list, the sheer breadth of issues that Congress initiates on any given day. I mean, from local zoning for AI server farms to military supply chains to national drug pricing caps.
It's a massive spectrum. And while all of this process, the committee referrals, the statutory definitions, the funding allocations, it can feel incredibly dry. But the congressional record also serves a completely different function. It acts as a diary for the American public through what are called the extensions of remarks.
Yes, this is a really important section. This is where members of Congress insert tributes, memorials, and community milestones directly into the permanent historical record.
And the contrast is just striking to me. I mean, in the exact same document where Congress is regulating AI and water research and scrutinizing data center zoning, it is also recording the deeply personal grief of Gold Star families.
Yeah. The August 20th record includes detailed tributes to 2 soldiers from Iowa who were killed on March 1st, 2026 in an Iranian drone strike in Kuwait.
Right.
They were deployed with the 103rd Sustainment Command, Major Jeffrey O'Brien and Sergeant Declan Cody.
And the remarks detail their lives far beyond just their military service.
They do.
Major O'Brien was 45. He was a cybersecurity professional, a father of 3, and a lifelong Cubs fan. The record explicitly notes that he coached his son's track team and was a proud music dad.
And Sergeant Cody was only 20 years old. He grew up exploring national parks and earned 56 merit badges as an Eagle Scout.
Wow.
And what really stands out structurally in his tribute is his path to deployment. He was enrolled at Drake University studying cybersecurity. He joined ROTC, and the record notes that he actually had the option to sign an ROTC contract and stay home to finish school.
But he didn't.
No. Instead, he actively chose to deploy alongside the soldiers he had trained with.
It really grounds all these policy debates in real human lives. These are the people the government ultimately serves and protects.
Exactly.
And the extensions of remarks also capture local history and community milestones. There's a commemoration by Representative Kennedy of the 1842 Buffalo Creek Treaty with the Seneca Nation of Indians,
Right.
which restored their possession of the Cattaraugus and Allegheny territories in western New York.
We also see a tribute from Representative Bishop honoring the 35th anniversary of the Macon-Middle Georgia Black Pages.
Oh, yeah.
It was founded by Alex C. Habersham, and it's a directory of Black-owned businesses that is transitioning to a fully digital platform in 2027.
Right.
And the record highlights how this publication wasn't just a business directory mechanically, but a crucial tool for community visibility and economic survival over the past 3 decades.
It's all there in the text, the grief, the history, the local businesses adapting to the digital age.
Yeah.
So what happens next? The August 20th session is over. Where does all this legislation actually go?
Well, the bills that were reported out of committee, like the Urban Bird Treaty Program and the NOAA reforms, they now sit on the union calendar.
A staging area.
Right. When the House reconvenes for regular full quorum business on Monday, August 24th, 2026, leadership can begin scheduling those bills for floor debate and eventual votes.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the newly introduced bills, like the data center zoning and the insider trading bills, they begin their long journey through the committee process.
The process continues. And for everyone listening, if you want to track those bills yourself, you can find and read the full text of all the legislation we discussed today, like H.R. 8476 or H.R. 3925, by searching those exact bill numbers on congress.gov.
And if a bill we mentioned today impacts your community, your industry, or your family, contacting your specific representative is a vital way to participate in the democratic process beyond just voting on Election Day. I mean, they structurally log every call and read every letter.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, if you value this kind of deep dive into how our government actually functions, please consider using the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. Your support is what keeps this ad-free civic education resource sustainable. We literally couldn't do this without you.
You know, to close out today, I want to go back to your server room analogy from the beginning of our conversation.
Oh, please do.
We often think of the congressional record as just a ledger of laws, right? Like the raw output of the legislative machine. But looking at the extensions of remarks right alongside the bill introductions, consider how this document functions as a permanent, searchable time capsule of American priorities on any given day.
Oh, wow.
In 100 years, historians won't just look at what laws passed. They will look at these specific pages to understand what communities were mourning, what new technologies we were struggling to figure out, and what we valued enough to write down.
That is a really powerful thought. The code running the servers isn't just data, it's a reflection of us. Thanks for joining us for Congress in Context. We'll see you next time on the Deep Dive.